Hi again, ladies. I'm in my gym again today, filming for you. We are going to be talking about those pelvic floor muscles today, how to activate them and exercise them regularly, so that we're in a good position to help stop those leaks. If you are doing pelvic floor exercises and you've been doing them for a while and you're still finding that you're having problems with leakage, then first of all kind of have a look at the other videos that I'm doing that support other things around the bladder and the pelvic floor. But also, as I've said in previous videos, it's really well worth you going and consulting a pelvic health specialist who will kind of do a physio exam and will point you in the right direction for what you need to do to improve. What I would say is don't give up on the pelvic floor exercises because you think they're not working. Then they'll still be having some benefit. So don't give up on them, just seek the correct help. Okay, so we often do exercise classes and that kind of thing, and you know, the instructor will say activate your pelvic floor, and in many cases we don't actually know how to do that. So them saying that is like, for some people it's like, okay, yep, and you just grip kind of really tightly. So you might have had that experience of perhaps being laid on the floor in a Pilates class and someone says, tighten your pelvic floor, and you literally start gripping. And the last thing that we want to do is to constantly grip with the pelvic floor, because if we're doing that, then actually we're making those muscles kind of really tight and rigid, and we don't want that. If you think about constantly only to kind of training your bicep muscle and you're literally just doing this, you might look at bodybuilders sometimes and think, bloody hell, they look like they would rip literally if you did this with them. That's what we're trying to avoid. So, you know, we know it's important to stretch out and relax the muscles. When we've done a workout, for instance, we need to do the same with the pelvic floor. So one of the other things is that's kind of coming out in sort of new research into pelvic health is that actually activating the back passage helps to activate the pelvic floor muscles as a whole. Okay, so that's where we start. So we focus on that back passage. So basically, what we're aiming to do is it's effectively like trying to stop a fart, for want of better words. So literally, if you can do this standing up, this is fantastic. If you feel to begin with, because your pelvic floor muscles are quite weak, that you need to be laid down, then that's absolutely fine. You know, you could move them from being laid down to perhaps sitting on a seat or a bench or even a Swiss ball, and then gradually moving up to standing. But what we need to do basically is to kind of be relaxed. So just relax. We don't want any gripping anywhere. We don't want the stomach gripping. We just need to relax. So first of all, just pop your hands onto your tummy and just relax your stomach. Not something that we generally do. As women, we're usually kind of trying to pull it all in, but just relax your stomach and just take a few deep breaths. So we're in and out, in and out. And just connect with that feeling of those tummy muscles kind of moving in and out as you take your breaths. Okay, so then what we're going to do, and this is kind of a really tricky one for some people to do, but we need to keep the butt cheeks and everything else relaxed, okay? And then we're going to pull up through that back passage and to literally kind of activate all those muscles. And you can still breathe whilst you're doing it. I'm actually doing it now. I'm still breathing. I'm still talking to you. It does take practice. The aim is to hold that for 10 seconds and just release. Okay, so we hold for 10 seconds, and then once we've done that for 10 seconds, we then release. I'm not holding for 10 seconds at the minute because that would just make the video too long. Okay, so once we've done a few of those, What we can then move on to do is we've activated the back passage, we really want to get into the vaginal muscles as well. So we're going back and then we think about the vaginal muscles at the front. So we start off and we're zipping up at the back and then just taking it a little bit further and zipping up at the front and then relax. So we repeat that a few times as well and then relax. So that gives us that nice lift, okay? Then what we're going to do is just do that joint one again, but we're going to lift up and really feel like it's lifting up into that belly button, and we're going to hold that. So we're lifting at the back, lifting at the front, and really feeling like it's lifting, like we're pulling all those pelvic floor muscles up towards our belly button. I am doing it now, so you can do it while you're breathing, and then completely relax once you've held that for 10 seconds, okay? Repeat that a couple of times, and then what we need to do is to do them quickly. So we're in and out quickly 10 times. So we're literally in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Takes practice. The reason that we do those quick ones, that's to give us what we need to take the pressure when we cough or sneeze. Because coughing and sneezing can really quite easily cause a bladder leak. The amount of times I've had to kind of go like that when I've sneezed, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So doing these exercises, like the real quick ones, that helps you to build up what you need to be able to take that pressure when you sneeze. So I said at the beginning of the video, we're coming up to, in fact I think I said it on the last one actually, but we're coming up to the season where it's coughs and colds. You know, fairly common, completely natural, but this can cause us a problem, and particularly if you have like a cough that lasts for a long time. So you're coughing daily, multiple times per day, and your pelvic floor is taking that pressure. So you're coughing, if you cough now, you'll feel the pressure on the pelvic floor. So what we also want to do is to get ourselves into the habit of, if we're going to cough or sneeze, you usually get a little bit of warning. If you're going to cough or sneeze, is to actually activate that pelvic floor beforehand. So if you feel a sneeze coming, you feel like you're going to cough, just get yourself into the habit of activating that pelvic floor beforehand. That's going to help to stop creating long-term problems. Because if you're constantly coughing and sneezing and your pelvic floor is not activated, so it's not protected, then basically you're going to end up in a position where you could end up with a prolapse, which is something you really don't want to have to deal with. So these little things that we can do to help protect us, that's great. Really important to remember to relax fully. We're not bearing down, so we're not pushing when we're relaxing, we're just relaxing those muscles. Because as I said at the beginning, if you're gripping onto them tightly all the time, you're going to cause too much rigidity, which then means that there's not enough flexion in those bladder muscles and the muscles in the vaginal wall to help you to kind of not have bladder irritation and other issues. So we need to make sure that we're fully relaxed in between those 10-second holds. There are apps out there that can help you, and the Squeezy app is one of them. I personally don't use an app for this. I tend to do these exercises 3 times a day. I do them in the morning while I'm stood brushing my teeth. I'll do them whilst I'm making a coffee, and then I'll do them at night time whilst I'm brushing my teeth and doing my face, etc. It can drop down once you feel that your pelvic floor muscles are kind of doing what they should do. You can drop you know, this practice down to kind of just once a day if you want to. I've kept mine at 3 times for now, just basically so that I remember more than anything. I think we all know what that feels like. So as always, ladies, if there's any questions about this video, if you'd like anything clearing up, if you want any more guidance, any tips on what to do next, then just please give me a shout. I'm always available in the messaging system on school, and I am also available on the chat groups as well if you want to pop a reply into this particular video on the chat groups. And yet again, if what I really want to do is to help as many women as possible with these issues that we have in midlife. It doesn't have to be complicated, and I think women find that it is. So if you know anyone else who speaks to you who's suffering with these kind of issues, please point them in the direction of this community. It's literally like £2.40 a month for your coaching and support and these videos that I do, which is less, far less than most cups of coffee that you might buy each day. And you know, I am building the information in here all the time. So yeah, absolutely. Please do that. Let's build this community, help as many women as we possibly can. I will speak to you later. Bye bye, ladies. Lots of love.